things in the Shetlands, here than in London, New York, or Tokyo. No further from the great warm heart of humanity, or the general good, no less central to human destiny.
Hi, I'm John Wallace, and welcome to our Brass Matters podcast about my song cycle, The Centre of Things. I'm delighted to welcome Jamie MacDougall, musician extraordinary, broadcaster extraordinary, everything extraordinary. How have you been, Jamie?
I'm very well, John. Thanks very much for having me and having a chance to hear these wonderful songs of yours again and get a chance to talk about them.
What have you been getting up to lately?
Well, I've been touring Scotland with Scottish Opera, doing some little bits of character stuff in La Boheme and doing L'Heure Espagnole just on Edinburgh and Glasgow. So I've got a couple more weeks of that to go, and then preparing for the inevitable Christmas concerts, the Viennese concerts. So there's lots to look forward to.
How did you find doing the Ravel? It's a gorgeous piece, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we performed the Ravel to begin with in Haddington in St Mary's Church with the orchestra behind us. And, you know, it's not a small orchestra. Ravel didn't score it for a small band. And it was just this wash of sound just everywhere in the church. So when we actually did it in Theatre Royal, there was much more clarity, much more precision, and you could really hear this wonderful score that he had invented and created to these wonderful atmospheres and great humour and comedy, which I think was lost a little bit in the overblown acoustic of St Mary's, but in the theatre, it was great.
And I believe that you're spending every Tuesday in St Andrews, working for Bede. Bede,
Yes.
What's he like as an employee? Is he manageable?
I'll switch off now.
Of course he is. He's loved as much here as he is everywhere else.
Jamie, how do you feel about performing with brass players?
Oh, I don't have a problem with brass players at all. And I've actually, you know, when you look through music and go all the way back, you know, Baroque music, Monteverdi, it's voice and brass marry beautifully together. Whether it was in St Mark's in Venice with, you know, the Gabriel, and the music was happening there, or Bach or Handel. And I mean, for a long time, Pat McMahon would tour with Walter Blair and Mark O'Keefe and do these beautiful recitals, voice, trumpet, and organ. And you know, and this cycle itself, I suppose I was a little bit concerned about balance and everything, but you know, everything was beautifully nuanced with the trumpet and what you asked Bede to play, and what the piano was underpinning everything, and the voice was able to sit and sit very nicely within these two sound worlds, and I didn't have a problem with that at all. I thought it created this extra, what's the word I'm looking for? It created a new color, in a way, a new color for me to bounce off of, especially in some of the songs where you had the voice almost imitating florid ornaments, you know, creating almost like a Carnival of Venice type vocal thing, and
Yes.
like Shag's Nest, you know, that was so it was a real challenge, but it was one I took with both hands, and having sung your music before, I knew what to expect, and you just have to throw yourself into the making of it.
And Bede, how did you feel about my demands? You know, I wrote for you a lot of things that I couldn't play myself, especially at the dynamics, especially at the dynamics, not to swamp Jamie, but at times it felt as though you were sucking rather than blowing. It was so sensitive.
That was all. It felt like a very complete diet from beginning to end. By the time you've got through all 6 songs, you've done everything. It's like the perfect practice regime, the piece as a whole to play from my perspective. But you know, the thought about the balance I mean, Jamie, sometimes when we were rehearsing, we were very close to each other just because we
Yeah.
were rehearsing in a small room. And, you're hardly a wallflower yourself. When you're about to create sound, I mean, the walls of the room temporarily kind of like cave in on themselves and then it's released again. So I think that, we were pretty fairly matched,
Mm.
John, really.
Hmm.
And the yes, these are songs. They're sometimes they're atmospheric, sometimes they're narrative driven, sometimes they're character, and sometimes they're a variation on all of the above. But for me as the trumpet player, it's just whether you're playing with someone singing text or whether you're playing with someone who's just another instrumentalist. I'm still not entirely sure whether it changes what you do as a brass player if you're playing with a singer. The verdict's out. I think I'm not sure whether I would have played any differently had I just been playing with someone playing Jamie's part beautifully on a euphonium, for example.
Mm.
Open question.
Hmm.
Interestingly enough, John, it's almost a year. It's just after a year to the day that we recorded this in Glasgow because it popped up on my social media, us in the studio. And Bede, you can testify to this. I not only sang in this recording, but I was also a technician. I was a trumpet technician.
That's right. You had to plunge my bell, didn't you?
I plunged your bell. Yeah, I most
Yes,
certainly did.
that's not for John's piece. So that was because we recorded the Paul Mealer's piece for natural trumpet and piano, which had in the natural trumpet you cannot use a plunger
That's
at the
right.
same time. But you helped me with that. But that
Because we could never do that in the recital, of course. So that's
yeah.
why it was not in the center of things. But I'm sure if John had had his way, there could have been an opportunity with a plunger on a long stick if he had so chosen to write something in the center of things for me to
Yeah,
get involved. Maybe
there we
I don't
are.
know.
Do you remember, Bede, when which piece was it that I had the stand specially made so that you could stick the harmon mute through it? So we should have used that stand.
That's right.
Do you remember it?
I do. Well, that's the Takamitsu paths, isn't it? That you
Oh,
had
that's right. Yeah,
and then
yeah.
Vicky borrowed that stand off you in about 2004, and
Yeah.
I offered to you back 20 years later, and you said, "No, don't worry, you can keep hold of it." So
I
it's
never
actually
want to play that piece again. No. Yeah. Oh, great.
yeah.
So, I mean, Jamie, I think of you as a storyteller. I mean, what's different about singing with voice? It's the words as well. There's a story, and your projection and the way you use your eyes, your
Mm.
entire demeanor. You seem to be telling stories. So, what's the story behind these poems? Is there a common theme, or are they just very wide ranging?
I'd say they're wide ranging. The thing about there's five of the songs are very much telling a story, of painting a picture, be it boats bobbing on the sea or explaining the cliffs and the bird in the cliff, or your time in Lewis in the summer, or just going back to Skye and reliving all this wonderful and retelling the story of your life. The hardest song for me to get into was the very first song, was the Hugh McDermott song. And
Hmm.
because I don't know very much Hugh McDermott or knew very much about Hugh McDermott. So it was good to get a chance to get a little bit of background work on him and his connection with Shetland at the time. And doing that really helped me to approach the song in a way that made sense to me. So if it made sense to me, I'm hoping that it made sense to the audience. And it's almost as if there's this flow of consciousness from Hugh McDermott. In those 9 years he was in Shetland, living this solitary life. Not solitary, he was there with his second wife and his son, but he just threw himself into his writing. And some of his finest work was written. But it's very, very difficult because within that poem, there are so many sort of literal references to, I mean, these German texts and the books that would not be my bedside reading on my bedside reading I have to say. But it's really complex text talking about one of his favorite poets, Rilke, who also, when you in this poem, talks about the Mozart, which is where this sort of big tower in Switzerland where Rilke lived for some time and did some of his finest work towards the end of his life. So you can see connections with Rilke and Hugh MacDiarmid living his sort of solitary existence and we're on the edge of the world, in Shetland. So it was almost as if he would be thinking one thing and immediately going on to another thing and another thing and another thing. And that for me just compartmentalized the way his mind was working and thinking at the time. So that's how I was able to sort of get through that first song, which I thought was the hardest song for me to get across. So that's the way I dealt with it. And in fact, there was two wonderful quotes I found of Rilke, which sort of summed up the three of us when we were working on this. And one was, "Let everything happen to you, beauty and terror. Just keep going. No feeling is final. Don't let yourself lose me."
No, it's one of the most learned poems I've ever come across. Actually, it's so full of cross references, and I was really daunted by the thought of actually setting it at all. But in the end, I do think it is one of the most brilliant poems ever written. The fact that these words, I'm no further from the center of things, in London, Paris, Tokyo, rather than in Shetland. So shall we listen to a bit of that now?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'll put a bit of that on.
To be exclusively concerned with the highest form of life is not to be less alive than normal people. Center of things in the Shetlands, here than in London, New York, or Tokyo.
Can you tell me, does he recap the start of the poem in the poem, or did you do that for the song?
I did that for the song.
Yeah. Because that was great, because that whole thing that bookended his train of thought. And you had that, and you had and then everything in between. There was all these different references, and everything was really almost as if he was, in my mind, just plucking ideas and thoughts. But then he comes back again to that sort of central core of the song, and I thought that was really powerful for that. It's really great to have done that.
There's one part of that first song when we do the cadenza. To be exclusively concerned with the highest form of life is not to be less alive than normal people. And that's the first kind of declamatory moment in the whole song, really. I think it's, you obviously loved that line to ask Jamie to sing that text in that way.
Yes. Yeah. I did. It's so in for a dig to take that sort of thing seriously these days, isn't it? I thought that was a great lineup. Shall we sort of move on to the next one? Do you want to take Stag's Nests? Do you want me to play a bit of it?
Yeah, this was the one which was like vocal gymnastics for me, trying to keep up with Bede, his wonderful playing.
Stags build their slatternly nests on a ledge or a slot, In the rocky coast, where they're easily found, frae below by a man in a boat. Shags build their slatternly nests on a ledge or a slot. In the rocky coast, where they're easily found, frae below by a man in a boat. By a man in a boat.
Does Shag's Nest feel particularly Scottish idiom to you, Bede?
Of course it does. Yeah, I remember some of the conversations that we've had about that, and I think you commented that your music doesn't start out sounding Scottish, but by the time you've finished interfering with it, it kind of ends up so. But it's it's Jamie, you're there on the edge of the cliff, singing to the Shags. But then as soon as you've done that opening few lines, there's a texture, John, which I really love, just the solo trumpet with the bass in the piano, a two-part invention between treble and bass. And then there's a new texture at a new rhythm in the right hand of the piano, and the trumpet starts doing its Scottish snaps and so on. And Jamie, you're commenting on the accompaniment. So you have really, it's a four-part arrangement: the left hand, the right hand, the tenor, and the trumpet. And it's John, you've told me in the before that you love, and it's in our DNA as brass players, you love a variation sequence. That's what this is, because it's a very, very short poem. But these Shags, I guess, are very inventive with what they do when they build their nests, and they spend a long time doing it. So the music kind of tells that story too, really.
It's not just it's not just that sort of Scots influence in the music. It's actually, I used to go fishing a lot with my dad in little fishing boats. I mean, we got sort of close to, to get some sort of rock cod and stuff like that. Yeah, quite close to the coast, and the boat has a slightly different rhythm to it, and you got that lovely sense of that. You had a lovely sense of that in the sort of the underpinning of this song.
You're right. I know what you mean. The waves closer to the shore are bouncing around, because the boat is not at the rhythm of the swell and open sea. The boat itself is close to the shore. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I used to be embarrassed writing music like this till I went to Alan Bush for competition lessons at the Royal Academy of Music, and he gave me a little bit of a bollocking for saying, "Listen, all of this stuff that you're writing is totally bland. Where are your Scottish roots?" He said, "Try, really, you just go back to them. Say, try a bit of pentatonic, bit of this, bit of that. Please, come back." So I did that for the following week, and that's where I relaxed into just letting it flow. Yeah.
Almost the Nadia Boulanger approach. She would always tell people to go back to, Piazzolla, go and play what's in you. Don't try and do something that other people do. It's you, and if it's you, then it's real, and that's what always comes across.
And don't be cursed by trying to seek modernity for modernity's sake.
And then the next one, MacDougall, A Highland Woman by
Oh
Sorley
yeah.
MacLean
Wow, what
is
a
is
dark.
totally different, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To go from
Mm.
the da to this incredible effect. Uh, can you explain to me, Bede, how you were able to pitch and play and sort of growl? And what
Yeah.
was that technique?
Well, it's multiphonics, which is, well, I mean, multiphonics is, for as long as people have been buzzing down a tube, no matter what corner of the world, in the Amazon jungle or in the outback of Australia, or high up in the Nepalese mountains, they've been probably singing into an instrument and buzzing their lips at the same time. But it's not altogether as easy on the trumpet as it is on some other brass instrument. And then added to that, John, you asked for quite a complicated effect with the plunger at the same time. And when you close the plunger into the bell, I will avoid using technical language which I don't understand myself, but something happens to the waveform, and it becomes the pitch becomes unstable, but
Right.
in a desirable way, actually. So it's an extraordinary effect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Uh,
Mhm. Well, I play a bit of it. I'll play a bit of it. Let's see.
clay basin heavy on the back of her bed. Poor wretched head.
I mean, the text in this song is in it's incredible. The sort of the biblical references, and then the describing this hard life of this Highland woman, this sort of daily drudge for all these years, having no recognition, be it social, be it religious, just getting on with life. It really literally weighed me down, and you took the voice right down to his depth. But you also you have me going all over, up, right down up to G flat, A's. It's an extraordinary piece of writing, and to try and find the nuances, the colours within the text. When we went to from those long sustained lines right down to this sort of short, intimate, this spring and that spring, this spring and that spring, trying to make it, trying to make it, yeah, trip off the tongue, but not to be flippant. After all this
Yes.
incredibly deep, dark dark writing. It was almost something, not sinister, but really in what was happening in the accompaniment at the start. I was trying to tune into that. Again, I hope I was able to do that for you. Yeah.
I think we definitely got something of this woman's life, but then
Oh,
John and Jamie, there was that one section that you sing, Jamie, and thy gentle church has spoken about the lost state of her miserable soul,
yeah, that's right.
and the unremitting toil has lowered.
Yeah.
But the harmony there, John, I mean, like I think you should stop being a musician if you cannot be seduced by just lushness from time to
Mhm.
time. It's okay.
Mhm.
But that's absolutely incredible, just simple homophonic writing with really decorative trumpet part. But it's an absolute oasis. Again, thinking about the way in which she set that line in the first song, that's the heart of it. Those words that I just spoke, I think, really speak to this.
Yeah.
And it's then that you sort of created this sort of free church psalm singing underneath with the chords.
Yeah.
That's it. That's exactly what it is.
Absolutely love that.
It's an amazing civilization on the islands, isn't it? I mean, they're still hauling up seaweed from the beach to these days. I mean, Esme, my daughter's next door neighbor, had a tractor to do it.
Put it in a basket.
I helped him one day. You chop it off with a little sickle, the seaweed, and you put it enormous amounts, and then it makes great fertilizer for the potatoes that you eat with herring.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a later song, isn't
That's
it?
later.
Yeah.
That's on Lewis.
That's right.
That's on Lewis, yeah. Oh, well, so that's Banna Gale, a Highland woman. And there's another Storley MacLean song next. Batadoo, the Black Boat. Let's have a quick listen to that.
Your course sorrowless, unfearing, they were no skilled black ships that Odysseus sailed.
Whatever make them so difficult, the added stress of singing in, a strange language like Ukrainian, or it just adds another layer of difficulty.
It's just that I haven't had the opportunity to sing in lots of different languages in my career. 13, I counted them up because I had a conversation with Marianne Kennedy. And when I said that to them, I said, and I've never sung a Gaelic song. And I felt awful to come clean on that. So many, many years later, we did get the chance to sing Gaelic, and I was coached by Marianne's mum, Kenna Campbell, and she spent a lot of time with me learning these seven songs, only 7 songs, but it's the hardest language I've ever had to sing in.
It's very, 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 very difficult.
But the great thing with Storley MacLean, of course, he could write beautifully in both.
Yes. Yeah.
Again, like Shag's Nest, it's not a long song as far as text is concerned, but it's what you achieve in that brief spell where I'm becoming a trumpet player. I'm using mouth music, but as a trumpeter. Was that the intention? Is it mouth music trumpet, or is it mouth music for trumpet and trumpet with mouth music? Abata, 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 abata. I was about to abata you.
That's right. That was the joke, wasn't it, Jamie?
Yeah.
We dined out on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I was trying to go for. Was a form of mouth music on the trumpet. So it was imitating. I never quite got it but we've got our own mouth music on the trumpet, haven't we? Haven't we, Bede? All of those exercises that we do and so on.
Oh, yes, of course. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Anyway, I just hope that the imitation doesn't offend anyone. And I must say, Jamie, you it must have been hard to learn, but you did it very, very effectively.
It's again, it was fun once I got through the initial learning and counting like Billy-O, to try and then make, because it's great fun. And I have to say, through your music as well, there's always that little bit of humor, but it just comes out, it just springs out, and it tickles me You know, the little thing, like the very first song, you talk about the Scotsman newspaper, and you go into this very sort of ecclesiastical, sort of Scottish Church of Scotland hymn chords underneath. I just loved all that. I just love all that.
Well, I thought of, you know, Bede and I both had to learn to triple tongue as trumpet players, triple tongue. So that was the joke behind this. I thought, let's see if Jamie can learn to triple tongue, and you did.
Well, I'm going to
Yeah.
put that on my biography now.
Yeah, I can triple tongue like a trumpet player.
I think though, Jamie, when we performed this live, I remember it going, you know, it just being on the edge of the seat, on the edge of your pants kind of thing. But that's okay. And that's the idea. I mean, some things just feel slightly out of control, and you don't want to lose that. I mean, John, you always just write three too many bars, like of something to be, you know, comfortable. And so it just or just at the end when you've nearly landed, you just add in a little rhythmic trick, just a little banana skin. But that's what makes it, you know, it's a bit of a gymnastics piece for the performers and audience.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Bede, what about the next one where I almost make it, you've got about 3 pages without a breath, so you
Wow.
probably have to circular breathe, and it's the Anchillan, the island,
Yes.
by Sorley MacLean. So how did you approach that?
Yeah, well, this is the jewel in the crown of the whole cycle, much like maybe Skye is in the landscape of
The Hebrides, yeah.
Scotland. This piece, having done it a couple of times and with some different singers too, because it was the first piece that you wrote in the whole cycle, wasn't it, John?
Yeah.
That opening trumpet idea with its Assyrian staircase, if I said that right, you know, the rhythmic trick, the beat is always elusive. Yeah, there's so many aspects to this piece which kind of, you know, warrant discussion. But that bit that you referred to where it keeps on going and going, I think I just cheated and left a few notes out, and they were never the same ones.
Yeah. I remember when I once said, you know, I can't play this piece at the speed. You know, I cannot get up to speed. So Bede, I'm going to give it up. I'm going to give it to you to play. And what you said was that, yeah, I think I can get it up to about 3/4 of speed, and then I'll record it at that, and then we'll just speed up the tape. And I thought, why didn't I think of that?
That's right. I have this thought that with new music today, that we learn something about the piece after the first performance. We don't really know what we're being confronted with until the music has met an audience.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think it would be a mistake to think it's artificial, or the knowledge which you gain through recording a piece, particularly such as this, and perhaps even this song with its, you know, just the extension of the form and the depth of it, that you do come to know the music in a different way when you do it in the studio, because what you can kind of pass over in a live performance just doesn't really work when you listen back to the recording, as we know. I'm not talking about some type of contrived perfectionist studio conditions. It's just like, you know, the parameters change, and you come to know the music in a different way. The complexities of the rhythms and the how sensitive it was to a tempo. The island really needs the exact right speed for it to sit. All these types of things I think are interesting for us as performers of new music.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was amazed by the slow tempo that you managed to hold for the island, because that was so effective. You know, it was so effective setting that slow tempo and sticking to it.
Great beautiful bird of Scotland, your supremely beautiful wings bent about the many-nooked Loch Braca dale, your beautiful wings prostrate on the sea, from the wild stallion to the Edda slate, your joyous wings spread about what oh, great island, my love.
What do you think in the last song, Lewis Saurig, Lewis in Summer? I was trying to get that. When you go to the Western Isles, you get the feeling that you're on the edge of the world.
Yeah.
You know, so that was the atmosphere I
Yes.
was heading for.
There's a song called Sleeps the Noon in the Deep Blue Sky, beautiful Hebridean song. Kenneth McKellar recorded it. And you can just imagine the sun hitting the sea and this incredible light you get, this glare on an absolutely, I mean, it doesn't happen that often, but when it does happen, this sort of mirror of water in a bay with the sun shining. And that was the image I had very much from the very start with this song, and trying to create this and having those long trumpet phrases and then the voice coming in, humming it, just added the layer upon layer upon layer to just help set this incredible, beautiful image of a summer in Lewis. Beautiful. I love doing it.
Probably there's no atmosphere in the world that offers so little resistance to people to looking at eternity. There's no need for philosophy, where you can make do with binoculars. Looking at eternity, where you can make do. Looking at eternity, where you can make do. Looking at eternity, where you can make do. Looking at eternity, where you can make do with binoculars.
I've already said that there's a few parts of the song cycle which are my favorite. But the bluesy trumpet solo, molto espressivo, just that little Miles Davis lick that I have for 2 bars, John, is yeah. It's and then going to the harmon mute, and there's all these ninths and stuff. There is definitely a jazz inflection in this.
Yeah, most of the good bits are pinched from Miles Davis.
The way it ends, look into to eternity. A final little variation, and then the trumpeter is asked to soar into the distance at the at the very end.
Yeah. So quiet at the top, it's incredible.
Yeah.
You do get that sense of an infinity, absolutely. Eternity and infinity.
When you fly over Lewis, as I have in the last couple of years, once or twice, you realise, and for all the far north of Scotland, just how untouched it is. You know, you're looking at vast coastlines, And you have to really work hard to see from 30,000 feet any sense of human order, whether it's trees in straight rows or crops of houses and so on. And there's definitely something about this Lewis and Summer. John, you've spoken about it, Jamie and I, in the past, about this capturing just a perfect day where everything is still. But the references to the big man upstairs, there is something, about looking down from above with this piece over in this perfect day on this perfect land untouched.
Yeah. Meanwhile, he's eating herring
Potatoes and herrings. Yeah. It's like
Yeah.
so down to earth. I mean, you
I
have to
know,
see.
yeah.
Yeah.
What's the verdict then? Do brass and voice fit hand and glove? Or is there a culture gap between singers and brass players? Would you like to get more pieces written for brass and voice?
I'm always up for it. We need to add to the repertoire. We've got these fantastic works, and we need to find ways of making sure that we get a chance to perform again. I think a wee tour to New Zealand would be a nice, Bede.
We could, yes, that's a thought. Yeah,
Yeah.
I without sounding defeated by it all, I think it is it's a as a genre. I think it's got a lot going for it, and this piece and what we're doing now, speaking about it, does go along, does start towards advocating for it. It's a bit of a tough sell, I think, but if because you can approach this piece from any angle. You could come to this piece as a lover of brass music, of the poetry, or of leader, if you like, or contemporary Scottish song. There is a lot of reasons that I think that this music could resonate with a lot of people.
Yes, I recently went to the Cumnock Tryst and heard Roderick Williams doing Die Schöne Müllerin, and he'd had it organized, he'd arranged it for string quartet. And it was so enjoyable because he had more musicians to interact with. And it didn't feel like singer and accompanist sort of thing. Well, it should be a partnership, but it was a more complex partnership. So I think there's probably a lot of mileage in doing things with something that tells a story with a singer, with instrumentalists, bringing the story to life.
I would love to try voice and say flugelhorn, or just change the color a little bit. I'd love to explore more. I have to say.
I am pleased to say that as a result of this project, that there are some ripples in that our distinguished member of the St. Andrews community, Peter Adamson, has actually commissioned another set of songs for us, Jamie. The text is I'm not going to be able to recall the poet just now, but it's all been signed off, and it's 4 new songs for tenor, piano, and trumpet. So we've got a thing going here. The commission is all through.
That's great news. That's well done. That's terrific news, because these songs deserve more platforms, and it certainly is something. As now that we've done it, we've recorded it, it's sort of in our bones a wee bit. It'd be wonderful to get a chance to perform it. So far, it's been at the RCS and then at the wonderful Laidlaw Centre, which was an incredible acoustic to perform in. I thought that was wonderful.
Yeah.
So I have to make it happen. And I can't thank you enough, John, for asking me to do these things. In fact, for writing Lewis and Summer for me. So I'm so thrilled that you've done that for me.
That's great, and I've written this Opsnizing Dad, and we'll have to get you back on the next podcast, talking about that.
Yeah,
and also, I mean, you're sort of globe-trotting in a little while. What are you up to next year? I hear that you're going to New York and places like that. So spill the beans. Spill
Well,
the beans, Jamie.
maybe my block with McDermott is because he had a block with Harry Lauder, and I just love Harry Lauder, and I've loved Harry Lauder since I was 10. And the play that I saw Jimmy Logan perform, Lauder, he wrote it and performed it in 1976. I was 10 at the King's Theatre. That's what sparked my love and imagination, and I just loved the songs. I loved his life. And all these years later, I got the play from his widow, and Scottish Opera helped me stage it in the Theatre Royal in 2017. And this was going to be my last year of doing it on his birthday in Portobello, where he was born. And we did it as a wee fundraiser for Erskine, and it went really well. It was lovely, and I was prepared to put down my crummock and hang up my kilt. But I put this application in for a theatre in New York, off Broadway. It's called 59E59. And it's a season called Brits Off Broadway. It runs from April to June. And I put an application in, more hope than anything. And they've invited me over to do 3 weeks run in New York with as Harry Lauder. So
as Harry Lauder.
Yeah. So from the centre of things to keep right on to the end of the road, that's what it is.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, thanks very much, everybody. And that's it for today.
Oh, great.
But if you like what you've heard, please press the like button. And if you want to hear more, subscribe. If you have any questions about anything that's been said, it would be nice to hear from you. So send in your emails to john.wallace@thewallacecollection.world. That's john.wallace at, all one word, thewallacecollection.world. You can access the recording of the Centre of Things through our Wallace Collection website, www.thewallacecollection.world, through our YouTube site, Apple Music, Spotify, or through any streaming site. The Wallace Collection catalogue drops like manna from heaven, free into your lap, wherever you may be. So thanks to Marianna Abrahamyan, Bede Williams, and Jamie MacDougall for joining me.
Thanks, John.
Thank you, John. Bye-bye.
Thanks very much. Thank you. Bye-bye.